Welcome to the Level Up Your Band podcast, episode 86. Hello, and welcome back to the Level Up Your Band podcast. My name is Gavin Patterson. I'm back with all the married up Julian Pombo.
Yes, I know.
All married up.
It's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
It's weird and it's not weird. It's like it's like a settled feeling. Is the best way I can sort of describe it. But it was a good time, wasn't it?
It was a great wedding, yeah. Mm-hmm. It was great. The reception was a lot of fun because there was like, I don't think I've played to a crowd with more musicians in it. It was quite unsettling playing to a room full of musicians.
It was good. It was a good laugh, and then we had like an open mic-y sort of bit in the middle. It just the whole thing just whizzed past like that. I just remember talking to you about like 11 or something like that, and I was just like, right, so like a bit more Kaylee and then we'll have some like disco later on, and you were like, it's 11 o'clock, Julian. I was like, it is?
Yeah, because you wanted Kaylee, a wee bit more Kaylee, and then have some disco. I was like, we ain't got time for that. It's not.
Were we running late? Were we?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I think like typically it's like 8 o'clock first dance, but I think you were like 20 past by the time we were properly kicked off.
Okay.
Plus the open mic section did take a lot of time, different stuff, but
yeah.
I know there was a couple of folk like champing at the bit for the disco, but
yeah, my mother.
It would have made no sense. I mean, we had a room full of musicians. Like, why would we go and stick on Spotify? It just makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we did was good, and the dance floor was filled all night, which was excellent.
It's what you want.
It is what you want.
Only thing that's left to do now is, as I was saying, I don't know it'll be captured on the old camera, but the wedding ring's a bit loose. The problem is I've got a wide knuckle, but then my finger tapers off here, right? So ideally I want something that's a little snugger around here, but then I can't get it over my stupid bones. So what are you going to do? I'll see if I can figure something out.
Looks all right.
Yeah, it's just that it's a little rattly and it feels a little insecure. I feel like I could do that any moment and it'll just
fly off. Yeah.
It's terrifying. Anyway.
So we've had a couple of weeks off of recording.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, this episode is coming out tomorrow.
Oh God!
No,
right.
not tomorrow. Wednesday. Today's Monday. So
2 days.
It's given me 1 day to edit this and upload it, and just hope that internet is stable and Facebook isn't down.
Yes.
I was trying to upload last week. Went on Facebook and it was like, this domain does not exist. And I was like, hold on, what? Hold the phone. And then I'm on Google. Oh yeah, Facebook's down for a whole day. Like on the day I needed to upload everything.
WhatsApp as well. I was trying to like WhatsApp people.
Instagram. I couldn't do anything. Couldn't get anything uploaded. And I was late as well. It was like the day before. I was like, oh no! But I did it. I got it up. Eventually, it came online, and I just left my computer on all night. Just was uploading, and just hoped that it made it, and it did. So yeah. So we've reached that time where we're finally redeeming the roster.
Yes.
After,
if you remember, many episodes ago, we did an episode on how to identify if there's an unsavory character in your band and what to do about it. And now this is the episode for said roster to listen to.
Yep.
I think if you've been outed as a roaster by a member of your band, you should listen to this episode, or you should send this to the person that you outed out, and tell them to listen to it so they can come back a little bit better.
Yeah. So this is yeah, because we always talk about like, oh, how to deal with roasters, and roasters are a nightmare. But so often people seem to forget is how to actually give a roaster a chance if they've learned. So
yeah,
we'll see. So this is like a roaster. Like if you're joining the podcast and you haven't heard the previous episode, which was like 6, 7, 8 months ago, probably more, a year ago. A roaster is, as Julian said, just a person who doesn't pull their weight, is someone who's hard to work with, doesn't listen, just doesn't play nice with others. That's generally what a roaster is. Someone who's like you don't really want in your band. And yeah, so this episode is going to be like how to redeem a roaster.
Yeah.
And if you are the roaster, how to redeem yourself. So we'll start off with like how to redeem yourself if you are the roaster. So first of all, you need to actually identify that you are the roaster.
Yeah.
That's the tough part.
I don't mean to get philosophical here, but I think everybody needs to sort of identify the inner roaster.
Yeah, of course.
Inside. That's a difficult thing to come to terms with, I think. So that's thing number one that you need to sort of work on
100%.
yourself, is identifying that
maybe I'm the baddie.
We all have
Everyone's
like
the baddie.
Exactly. We all have the capacity to be
the baddie.
Absolutely terrible.
Yep. So first thing, think objectively. Yeah. So don't just slink down into your subjectivity. Try and bring yourself out, see the bigger picture, see it from the band's perspective. If you're, I don't know, if it's a thing, a decision, or some way of being in the band, and you think I'm doing it this way, they're all doing it that way. How does this look? How is the band looking? Just always take into consideration how the band looks.
Yeah.
So it's a democracy at the end of the day.
Yes.
It should be. If you're running a band, it should be somewhat democratic. So you've got to think like there are other people here. It is a band. It's not individual. It's not a collection of individual. It's a collection of individuals, but they all have to come to a mutual agreement
on things. Yeah,
because it just wouldn't function otherwise. Otherwise, it would just be an anarchy, basically.
And nothing would get done.
Nothing would get.
Some things would get done, but I don't know if they're things that you would intend to get done.
As soon as two people cooperate in an anarchist society, it's no longer anarchy; it's now cooperative.
Yeah,
which is why it can actually happen, because you have to have some sort of mutual understanding and cooperation. But obviously, like you need to take into considerations people's feelings and people's like opinions and stuff, and you try and mold that into some sort of mutual understanding. So yeah, if you're constantly like shooting your mouth off, like no, it should be done like this, no, it should be done like that. If it happens too often, maybe just you've got two choices. You kind of rein it in and go, right, I'll try and word it differently, or instead of trying to fight from your perspective, that's the thing you can do. Instead of just like try and win the argument, you can maybe try and think in the terms of the other person and go, right, if I was arguing against me, how would I try and argue against myself? So if you hold position A, they hold position B, try and put your shoes into the mindset of a person who has position B, and then argue against yourself, and maybe you'll pick up on some things that maybe you've missed, just to try and.
It's almost like it's not quite. So it's almost like a form of like steel manning of like
it is exactly that.
The band's decisions. Like, right, well, they must have had a good they must have had a good reason to get rid of me. So then you have to identify what it is, rather than like doing the stereotypical natural thing that we all want to do and assume that they're wrong.
Yeah. So steel manning, if you've heard of straw manning, it's where you take like the weakest arguments from your opponent, create a character or a straw man, so that
That's easy to knock down.
It's easy to knock down and easy to defeat. Where steel manning is taking the best arguments from your opponent, creating that argument, and then attacking it. And if you can destroy a steel man, then you're using pretty good, rigorous thinking. If you can take down a steel man, anyone can take down a straw man. You just attack someone's weakest points. It's a weak way of arguing, but you should always try and see things from other people's perspectives. And trust your bandmates. So just trust that they're not just trying to manipulate you, or they're probably trying to just get on and play music and do things properly. They don't want to like unnecessarily upset people. Well, maybe they do, but trust them that if they're all 5 against 1 or 4 against 1, then maybe it's you. So just be a little bit less headstrong, and avoid the I'm a victim mentality. You guys are against me. Every time I come in here, you guys are constantly against me. Everything I bring to the table, you guys just knock down like that. Like, I've heard that a few times. But it's not about you. Unless you're the solo artist and you have a backup band, then it is about you. If it's your song, if you're Taylor Swift and it's your song, you're the person everyone comes to see. They don't come to the concert to see the drummer. Right. But if you're Metallica, it's a band. It's a band. So it's more democratic. Depends on what you're doing.
Totally.
So, but avoid the coming in and just every single criticism that gets thrown your way, you take it as a personal attack. Like, are you saying that I have no musical talent? No, I just want you to change that G7 chord. We just don't think it sounds. No, it stays exactly as is. Nothing changes. This song is exactly how I want it.
I mean, like, I mean, I've been in that situation a few times where I've been like I think we should use that chord, and then everybody else has gone, no. And after a while, you just have to be like, okay, fine. Explain why,
A common one you get on drums is, do you have to play it like that? Like, all right, jeez. Well, how would you like me to play it? I don't know, just less, like, just like more like, or more. You're like, okay, right, translate, because you can't do chords and melodies on drums. When some people are like, I know what I want, but I can't articulate it, but it's not that.
Maybe this is another idea for another episode. But like, we could do an episode on the merit of like learning how other people's your bandmates' instruments work, so you can communicate better.
That'd be cool.
I think that'd be a good one. That's aside, because that's annoying. I get sort of an equivalent kind of thing, where it's not quite as bad as that because I can play notes and things, but vagueness is oof.
Yeah,
that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, vagueness. So yeah, the whole victim thing. If you're if your mind always automatically jumps to it must be someone else's fault, then start by asking, maybe I'm to blame. So it's kind of like, maybe I'm the baddie. Like, I can think of an example. I was playing in a big sort of 60-piece orchestra type thing, wind band type thing, and we were playing in a rehearsal weekend, and I was playing away, and the conductor stops, and he's like, "Gavin, can you stop pushing the tempo?" And I was like, "I'm not pushing the tempo. I'm not pushing the tempo at all." To myself, I was like, "Okay." And then I'm looking around, and I'm like, well, maybe I was. Like, I could have easily gone, "I don't push tempos," but I'm like, this guy's the most objective person in the band because he's not playing anything. He's sitting listening to everything. So I'm thinking, wow, I've just been called out on something I didn't even know I was doing. So it totally woke me up. I was like, oh, like, even though I think I thought I was totally stable, and I did it again, and he called me out again. I was like, right, come on, I'm not pushing, and he was showing me the specific bit I was doing it, and there was like this drum fill. Right. I was like, okay, and I was thinking about the drum fill, and he was right. He was so right. And I just didn't notice. So I was technically the roaster, although I didn't voice my thing, so I technically wasn't a roaster. I was just in an instance where I thought I was completely right. And it turned out I was actually wrong. I don't know if there was like a recording or something. I could hear it, and I was like, oh, well, I'm like way off. So it was like, oh, sometimes you think you're right, and well, that's what do they? What's the thing you say? What does it feel like to be wrong? It feels exactly the same as being right because you don't know you're wrong. Nobody wants to be wrong, but you think you're right. It's when you find out you're wrong that's when it feels terrible.
Yeah.
Because you think you were right. So yeah, keep that in mind. Like, you can always be wrong. So yeah, be willing to be wrong. You don't know everything. And do not ask for an apology. Like, I would like an apology, please. Oh no. Oh no.
That's a Karen move right there.
Yeah.
If ever I heard of one.
Yeah.
Here's a good I don't know if it's applicable, but advice from the man who's recently married but has been in a relationship for a very long time. Something that Rachel and I did, but I think which could work in a band setting regarding apologies, is if there has been a very heated moment, sometimes it can be good to just apologize to each other anyway. Even if you think that you don't owe somebody an apology, it forces you to actually be empathetic and think, well, maybe I shouldn't have spoken like that, or I shouldn't have said it like this, etc., etc. I always find that after a while of doing that, the first time you do it, it feels terrible. It just feels a bit wrong. I can't remember the first time, but it was like I was like, "Oh, Rachel, I'm sorry that I didn't do this thing when you wanted me to do it," and I was just like, ugh. And then after a while, I was just like, actually, no, they're correct. So if you're, might be a good thing to maybe implement in your band when there's a falling out. Get somebody to apologize for saying that the G7 chord was stupid, and then the other person who suggested the G7 chord apologizes for insisting on the G7 chord, as an example.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or I'm sorry about saying that your lyrics were bad. Well, I'm sorry for calling your mum fat or whatever happened. You know, it will help to sort of ease tensions.
Yeah, so
if you have to,
be willing to apologize, but don't ask for it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Don't ever ask for an apology.
Yeah, if you have to ask, then you don't deserve it. And if you do ask and you get an apology, they probably don't mean it anyway. So
no, they probably don't mean it anyway, and you will tell. You'll be able to tell, and it will feel cheap.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was like when, like in primary school, when you were forced to apologize to somebody, or somebody was forced to apologize to you. It's just not good.
No,
nobody.
No, there's so like I always thought about that in school because they exactly do that. They don't teach kids what sorry means.
Mm-hmm.
They just think, oh, you can say sorry and that means you get away with it. That's what I thought it meant. I thought, oh, if you say sorry, then that means that's it, game over. But I was watching a film recently. There's a scene in The Sound of Music. Everyone's seen The Sound of Music, but there's a scene in it, and it only occurred to me like recently. I know what sorry means now. I'm an adult, for God's sake, but there's a scene in that which really, really articulates what sorry means. You know the scene. I don't know how recently you've seen it, or
I'll remember.
There's a scene where the kids, Maria just arrives at the Von Trapp family house, and the kids play a prank on Maria, and she's just like, right, okay, whatever. And at dinner table, she guilt trips the kids, and then the kids start to feel bad that they pulled the prank, and they start like uncontrollably sobbing at the table.
Yeah, that's right.
That is a perfect example of what sorry means. They feel so sorry for doing it that they just cry. Like, I can't believe I did that. That's sorry. And that's really, really sorry.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny scene, actually.
Yeah, it's a really great movie. I watched it recently. I was like, wow, it's still good.
It's a classic. I need to watch it again. It's been ages.
Yeah. So yeah, moving on. Yeah, people judge you on your actions, not your words. So basically, just shut up and do the work. It's always better to show and not tell. Don't talk a good game. Actually, play a good game. I know many people in my family even who are used to be quite like that. They would talk a good game and never actually deliver on what they said. Stay true to your word, and just like people will see and judge you by what you do. And if you're trying to redeem yourself from past behavior or whatever, then you don't need to say anything. Just be there, show up, do the work, and be present. And eventually, people will start to rely and cotton on. They'll be like, "Oh, this guy's changed. He's reliable. He's honest. He's like, whatever." You don't have to, talk yourself up. So yeah, that's kind of if you are the roaster.
Yeah,
and I've got a random section here on, so a separate kind of thing. I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about failure. So I would say like being a roaster is kind of like being a failure a little bit. It's not a good way to be anyway. So yeah, I wanted to talk about like failure and like the difference between losing and being a loser. So losing, I think losing is important. You have to lose. It's like one of the most important parts of succeeding. So there's this old Scottish, it's probably crap, but it doesn't matter. It's a Scottish
proverb,
folk tale. Right. Robert the Bruce was fleeing English soldiers, and he ran into a cave,
yeah.
and he walked through a big spider's web and destroyed it. And then he sat down and he was like trying to hide from the English, he sat and watched the spider remake the web bit by bit. You know, he must have been there for a few hours.
Yeah.
You know, and it rebuilt the entire web. And he came up with this line: "If at first you don't succeed, try again." It probably never happened, but it's. I was told by my granny, it was like, that's Robert the Bruce.
I was taught that in school.
Okay.
Yeah. He probably did hide in a cave.
Yeah.
But yeah. If that really happened,
it was like 700 years ago. So
yes.
So yeah. So the moral of the story is like, it's not the succeeding part that is the important part. It's the trying part is the important part, and being willing to fail. So yeah. So losing is when you've actually done something. You know, losing means you tried. It means that you've gained something valuable enough for you to consider it a loss. Because if you don't do anything, you don't lose anything. You've got nothing to lose. I know I've got another analogy is the whole, you know, species thing. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
So like, to give rise to all life currently alive on Earth, 99% of all species that have ever existed had to go extinct. So 99% of all species that have ever existed on planet Earth are extinct. All animals right now, including humans on Earth, only constitutes like 1% of all life that's ever existed. Because it had to fail millions of times to evolve to become what it is now. So like the natural order of things seems to tend towards like failed attempts. It never just arrives at the perfect utopia. It's always like incremental failures to get to somewhere sort of successful. It just seems to be the way of the universe. I don't know. It's just the natural order of things. Yeah, so it's the same in everything. Your immune system as well. Like you have to catch like loads of colds to build up immunity. To, you know, you don't just wake up and you're like totally robust and strong. And you know,
unless you're a shark,
right? Okay.
Which I think have like are like basically immune to like most of the diseases on the planet.
Wow.
Apparently, I don't know if it's how true that is, but I did read it somewhere, so
must be true.
Must be true.
So yeah, a loser is someone who fails before they even start. So they spend the majority of their time thinking about how they could achieve something, but their fear of failing convinces them to not even try. So they just don't bother.
I've met a lot of people like that, and I've gone through that as well.
Same.
You know, everybody's a loser at some point, and you meet lots of really talented people that unfortunately are just like that. You know,
yeah, they need encouragement. Those types of people, encourage them, especially if they're good, because it's almost a disservice if they're not out doing stuff. I know plenty of people who are really talented musicians and they just don't pursue anything. And I think it's a shame because people are missing out, you know. So like, encourage people. So yeah, that's kind of a separate thing. That I thought I would put in there. Just be willing to fail. I think once you're willing to fail, that's when things start to go right. If you're just put your cards out there and like, if you fail fast, it means you can learn fast. And you can start progressing faster. If the time it takes to fail is too long, then you don't learn fast enough. They do this in school with like incremental testing through like class tests through the year. It's good because you can study like a certain subject in school for like a week and then do a class test on the Friday. And you'll know immediately where you are. Like, oh, okay, I've got work to do, or you know, rather than wait till like 2 months later before you realize that you don't fundamentally grasp anything that you've been taught. You're like, oh, I failed everything. You know, teachers do that. Like they'll have lessons and work lessons through the day. Even, you know, you'll get tested on a day-to-day basis. Like, you know, if you're like in maths, you check your marking and all that.
It's also one of the reasons I think why they make the preliminaries so hard as well. The preliminary exams.
Yeah, they want you to fail.
They kind of want you to fail. So if you manage to pass a prelim, which is what we call them over here, you're in pretty good stead. You know, like I remember getting like a C for, I think it was French, higher French, and I was pooping my pants. I was like, oh boy, I'm not going to do well. And then I got to the exam and I got an A.
Yeah. Yep. It was the same with me in chemistry, higher chemistry. I think I failed the prelim. And the final, I was like, whatever. I'm just going to do my best. And I got a B. I was like, whoo!
Yeah.
Yes! I was well happy with that. It was like a couple of marks off an A. I was like, geez. I was like, I'm going to fail this, like 100%. So I think that was like a kick I needed. Like you needed to like fail so that you could go, oh, whoa, let's step it up a gear. Some people respond well to that, some don't. But
yeah, no, some people go the total opposite way and just crumble. But I think that's down to how you're taught to deal with that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is us, I guess, trying to set you up for that if you've never experienced total complete failure before.
Oh yeah, it can happen. I mean, I tried to open up a recording business back in 2012, and the first 5 years I probably made less than £1,000. In 5 years, like that was failure, complete failure. I was like, this is not working. I was like trying thousands of different things all the time. Like, is this working? No, that's not working. I was like, fail. I'm like, where's the succeed part? Come on. And then eventually just all clicked and gelled into place, like around about 2016, 2017. I was like, and people started coming in the door. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to pursue this more. Like, yeah. And it took a lot of grit and determination and just sheer stubbornness to just be like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to just knuckle down. But yeah, got there in the end. So yeah, be willing to fail. Good. It's a good, healthy way to be, I think. So we'll do it from the other perspective. Roaster. Yes. So we've done the if you are the roaster. So now if you have the roaster in your band and they acknowledge that they're the roaster, they've been like, right, okay, I've messed up. I'm going to try harder. So
which is quite difficult for a roaster to do sometimes. Very real roasters, you know.
Yeah, very, very hard. But be willing to forgive. So give them a chance to redeem themselves. So if they say they've changed and they want to do better, give them the opportunity to do that. Don't just be like, no, you're gone. Unless it was really bad what they did. So make sure that they understand that this is their one and final chance to pull their weight, because obviously you've had to put up with stuff before, but give them a chance. It's like they've changed, you know, theoretically. Let's see what happens. And don't parent them. So say they were the type of person that was like, oh, could you get that email sent off to the, yeah, no problem, I'll do that. And then they don't do it for ages. And then you have to check up on them. Did you send that email? Oh, I've been really busy. I just need blah, blah, blah. And it never gets done. That's how it used to be. And now they're like, no, I'm not the roaster anymore. I'm going to try hard. Don't remind them. Let them fail. Like, make it really easy for them to fail. Because otherwise you're just going to end up back. You're going to reward behavior. You're just going to, you're going to keep up with them like children. Like, if you remember to do your homework. No, you're an adult now. It's like you should remember to do your own damn homework. So if you can't do that, then you've not really changed. what the type of response you should get is like, oh, I sent that email, by the way. Oh, and I've also done something else that you didn't ask me to do. Oh, wow, that's changed guy. Wow, this is amazing. That's what you're wanting. You don't want to be like checking up on them and be like, people are reminding me. I don't need to remember myself. Treat them like a goddamn adult, not a child. So don't make it easy for them to become lazy again. Make it hard for them. Because that's how you get places, is you do the hard work. It's not easy. So don't go easy on them. Because they've used up all their chances. This is their final and last chance. They've got to rise to the occasion. Maybe I'm just harsh that way, but like you're going to end up just back to square one if you start slipping into the old behaviors again. Just allow them to rise to the occasion, to do the difficult task.
Yep.
And if they do fall back into their old ways, just that's it. Time's up. Because you can't run a band with that kind of roaster mentality. But it is important to give them a chance. If I'm trying to think of an example, like if it is like administrative, so asking them to follow up on an email or order some CDs or book a tour or whatever it happens to be, and I haven't gotten around to it. Oh no, I've been busy. If you've been busy and it's like work or family, it's okay. We understand that. That's fine. But if it's constantly all the time, if it's something really small, like just replying to an email, it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's not a big ask if it's over a couple of days. And if it's repeated behavior, obviously don't be like pure like fascist authoritarian, like if it's not done in the next 30 seconds, we're going to completely remove you from the band. Obviously not. You don't want to be like that either. So there is a happy balance, happy medium. But yeah, I just think with people like that, it can be too easy for people to expect that they're going to fail. So we'll then try and help them out and be like, did you remember to do that thing? Oh, yeah, totally remembered. No, like leave them to it. Let them be adult.
Yeah,
I'm a grown up now. I'm gonna forget and remember things myself without my mummy telling me what to do. I don't know. Am I being harsh?
No, I don't think so. I think you're being. Yeah, I feel like people need to be. I think you're actually. I think you're actually being quite kind. I think the people that are being terrible are people are not allowing you to make the mistakes that allow you to grow. The helicopter parenting and all that kind
just
of
hovering
thing.
over. Yeah,
which is very. It seems like it's a very modern problem.
Yeah,
I've noticed that with, as an example, just it just kind of worries me sometimes with like, not all the students that I have, but a couple of students that I have are just don't have the ability, and it's boys as well. Boys are terrible for this. Don't think for themselves,
right.
at all.
In what sense?
In the sense that I give them work to do, I tell them what they need to do, and I give them the means to record what they need to do, and like, I remind them of the things that they need to do, and then I come back and they've not done it, and I'm like, well, why have you not? And it's because they've not had somebody there to tell them the entire time, you need to do this, you need to, like they're kids are not taught that they have agency, that they have to create their own things, and it's hard because like to allow somebody to learn that, You need to let them do their own thing. And I think a lot of people find that scary, you know, letting somebody just do their own thing, you know, because like, oh, what if they fail? What happens then? That's fine. They'll have messed up.
Yeah.
You know? What are you gonna do? Like they probably won't do it again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sometimes the best lessons learned are the times where you did something wrong, rather than someone telling you, don't do this because this will happen. Said the guy in the Level Up Your Band podcast who tells people to do things certain ways. Yeah. Well, that's how we learned this stuff, is through failure. A lot of the Level Up Your Band topics are based around things we did wrong.
Things we did wrong. You know, I've you know, looking through that list, I was just like, oh no, is Gavin talking about me and things I've done?
Everyone's done it.
But it's everybody's done something at some point, you know.
Yeah. I still do it to this day. Drop the ball on certain things. Like,
yeah.
Whoopsie.
Yeah.
Whoopsie doopsie. I was supposed to send that email.
It's the human thing to do. You mess up.
Yep.
We just mess up.
Yep.
And coming to terms with that is the best thing you can do.
Yep. 100%. So yeah, that's redeeming a roaster. Yeah. I don't think there's enough talk about sort of forgiveness in this day and age. It's all about like, you know, you've transgressed, you're in the wrong, blah blah blah. Go away, you're disappear. There's never a talk of like, oh, is this what can this person do to redeem themselves?
How can we have a good dialogue with somebody? You know, it's either. It's on either side of the debate. It's always, I'm right and you're totally wrong and we should do what I say. And nobody's having that. No one's meeting in the middle. It's a sign of the times, of our times anyway.
Yeah.
It's always been like that, you know. There's always going to be extremes, but it definitely feels like the extremes recently have gotten a lot bigger, a lot more divided.
So yeah, don't do that.
No.
So yeah,
take a measured approach to everything.
Yeah, balance. Just got to be balanced. So yeah, we've finally got around to redeeming our roaster.
Yes.
He was just wallowing in his own self-pity for like a year, so it's fine. He's back in the band again. It's fine. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had on that. I have absolutely no clue what we're doing.
I think we'll do that idea that I just had there. We'll probably talk about why you should learn how other people's instruments work, and why and how, you know, and
I
think that's what we'll do.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, because it's hard to take. It's hard to take as the person being talked to if someone is using terms that don't make any sense and you have to try and translate it. Can you make it less like boomy and more like tinny and like using like weird adjectives and stuff? Yeah, that'll be fun. Cool. So yeah, as always, if you genuinely enjoy the podcast, please leave us a review, wherever you're listening to it on, if it's Apple or whatever. And if you have any pals who are in bands and maybe looking for some advice and stuff, we have literally an episode on every topic you can think of at this point. 86 episodes. I will definitely have covered pretty much everything there is to cover. it's getting to that point now. I'm racking my brains to find new topics. It's kind of hashing old ground a little bit, but I mean, it's good to like revisit stuff because our opinions might have changed. So yeah, I've been going back and like reading the notes on some of the older episodes. Like, oh yeah, I remember that. So yeah, there'll be some stuff that we have changed on, I would say.
Definitely will be.
But yeah, go back and like listen to some re-listen to stuff. It depends as well. Like if you're in like an album cycle and you're recording currently, maybe you can go and listen to like the recording sort of episodes, or if you're touring, go and listen to some of the gigging and touring episodes, like see which one's relevant. Because it's not that linear. Like you don't have to listen to the podcast in order, really.
You could jump in at any point you like.
Yeah. There's some episodes where it's like part 1, part 2, then obviously that's linear, but yeah, it's kind of fragmented. So if you're new to the podcast and you're just hearing that, you can go and pick and choose what you want to listen to. And we also release the video footage on YouTube and Facebook. And yeah, we're on all the podcast platforms. And we have a website as well, levelupyourband.com. You can fire us a message on there if you have any requests or any guests you'd like to have on. We should have a guest on soon. Try and get someone in. But yeah, that is our redeemed roster. It's about time.
Yes.
So yeah, hope that was a useful episode. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.